Hi, mathematicians. It is time for math. We're wrapping up lesson 31, session 4. The page that I'm on is page 705, and we're just going to continue this classifying quadrilaterals. So on page 705, it looks like this. It's refining. So all we're doing is just practicing what we learned in the previous 3 sessions. Here's an example. And it talks about a model. A patio has 2 pairs of sides that are the same length. All sides are not the same length, but it does have 4 right angles. What shape is the patio? So if you know it has 2 pairs of sides that are the same length, but not all are the same length, that means these are the same length and these are the same length, but all 4 are different, then you know it's a rectangle. And a model, again, is just drawing it. Number 1, draw a quadrilateral that has no sides the same length and no right angles. Show your work. So over on this right-hand column, like the White House, it says the shape you draw will not be a rectangle or a square. It gives you little hints. It will not be a parallelogram or a rhombus because a rhombus has to have sides that are all the same length. And so it says no sides the same length and no right angles. So it can't be a rectangle, it can't be a square. It will not be a parallelogram because if it's a parallelogram, that means that the opposite sides are the same length. And so if all the sides are different and there's no right angles, I'm just gonna draw a parallelogram that's 4. So that could be it. Let's pretend no sides are the same length. So actually, make this longer so it's obvious that none of those sides are the same length. So that's an example. You could also draw maybe like a trapezoid, but it has like all different, that one goes up, this one goes down, this one goes down. See how it's all that wonky? That means they're all not the same length. Turn the page to 706, number 2. Fiona cut along the dashed line shown on the shape below. She knows that she made 2 quadrilaterals. So she had a square or a rectangle, cut the dashed line, and she knows she has 2 quadrilaterals. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, there are 4 sides to both of those. Is either of Fiona's quadrilaterals a parallelogram? Explain why or why not. So do you think this is a parallelogram? Either side? No, neither of them are parallelograms because a parallelogram has to have 2 sides that are parallel, or 2 pairs. So the answer, this is number 1. Number 2, no. And it's a no because, again, there were no sides. Can you see that? That have 2 sets. No. There are not 2 sets of parallel lines. So a parallelogram is like a rectangle. These are parallel, that's one set. These are parallel, that's another set. Hers is like, I think one looks like that, so pretend, and they need to be the same length. Okay, now number 3. Which shape is not a rectangle? I'll erase this just so we don't get confused. I'll draw the shapes up so you can see which one is not a rectangle. So a rectangle has all right angles. Actually, I don't think we need to draw this. So a rectangle has all right angles out of these 4 shapes, all right angles. So you're looking for which one is not a rectangle. A rectangle, remember, can be a square if all sides are the same length. A rectangle has 2, like one set that is the same length and it has another set that's the same length. It doesn't all 4 have to be the same length. So a rectangle can be a square a square is not a rectangle because a square has to have 4 equal sides. So I can tell right away, boom, which one is not the rectangle because it says which one. So you know you're only looking for one. This one has a right, all right angles, right angles, right angles, not right angles. So the answer is D. Excuse me, I'm fighting a sneeze. Number 4. Oh, there's another question here. Ari chose A as the correct answer. How did he get that answer? So I think Ari is forgetting that a square can be a rectangle. He forgot that a square can be a rectangle. A rectangle cannot be a square though. So that's your answer. Number 4, a rhombus must have all of these attributes except which one? So let's read them like we learned for our CMAS training, that we can use the process of elimination. Has all of these attributes except which one? So you're only looking for one that is not correct. 4 sides that are the same length? No, a rhombus has to have that, so it can't be A. 2 pairs of parallel lines? Nope, it needs to be parallel. C, 4 right angles. A rhombus is like this shape right here. It has no right angles, so the answer is C. And then 4 sides and 4 angles. Well, we know that it is a quadrilateral, but the one that it doesn't need is number 4. The correct answer for number 4, which is when it is not, is letter C. It doesn't have right angles. Number 5, what is the name that best describes all the shapes below? So here's all of these shapes. And we're looking for a name that describes them. So what we need to do is we need to think about, well, what are the attributes of these shapes? So if I look at all of them, one of the easiest ways to classify or sort shapes is by the number of sides. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. They all have 4 sides. That means they are all quadrilaterals. Some of them are, this one is a rhombus. Actually, this one is a rhombus. This one is a parallelogram. This is a rectangle. This is a square. This is a square. This is a square. It's just turned on its side. So the answer to number 5 is parallelogram. They are all parallelograms. That's an R in there. Number 6, use the grid below. Draw a quadrilateral that belongs to at least two of these groups. Parallelogram, rectangle, or square. Explain why your shape belongs to these groups. Show your work. So, let's see. Draw a quadrilateral that belongs to 2 or 3 of these groups. Parallelogram, rectangle, or square. Well, a rectangle is a parallelogram. A square is a parallelogram. So the only 2 shapes that you're going to draw, or that you could draw, is a square or a rectangle. That's it. And the reason why is because a square is a rectangle. A rectangle only has to have these 2 sides the same length and these 2 sides here and here the same length. A square has all 4 sides that are the same length. So let's pretend 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch. This side is 1 inch, this side is 1 inch. This is 3 inches, this is 3 inches. So the only shapes you could draw are a square and a rectangle. Turn the page to page 708. On 708, it says use the grid below. Draw a quadrilateral that does not belong to any of these groups. So we can't draw a parallelogram, we can't draw a rectangle, we can't draw a square. Explain why your shape does not belong to any of these groups. Show your work. So I'm drawing a quadrilateral, which means it has 4 sides. I cannot draw a parallelogram, a rectangle, or a square. So I'm going to draw, I think this is one of the cutest shapes. It has 4 sides. A parallelogram, the opposite sides are parallel, are the same length. So this side and this side, those are not the same length. So it's not a parallelogram. It's not a square. It's not a rectangle. It's like a cool, cute little kite. All right, number 8 has some true or false questions. Tell whether each sentence is true or false. All rhombuses are quadrilaterals. So a quadrilateral, yes, has 4 sides. A rhombus is always going to have 4 sides. So the first one is true. Absolutely. A rhombus, all rhombuses are quadrilaterals. They're not going to have any more sides than 4. They're not going to have any less. All rectangles are squares. That's false. All rectangles are squares. That's not true. If a rectangle has the sides here that are longer and these are shorter, then that's not a square. So that's false. All parallelograms are rectangles. That's also false. A parallelogram could be a square. A parallelogram could be a rhombus. So that third one is also false. The fourth one down says all quadrilaterals are parallelograms. That is not true because as I showed you with this one, that would mean this line and this line are the same length, and that's not true. So it doesn't have to be a parallelogram to be a quadrilateral. You can have other ones that are not the same. So another example of that one is the shape that I drew earlier where it's like, all the sides are different lengths, but I have 4 of them. Last one, all squares are rhombuses. This is interesting. So all squares are rhombuses. Rhombuses have to have, rhombuses have 4 sides and 4 angles. Rhombuses have all sides that are the same length. Guess what? Squares are the same way. The difference between squares is that squares have those right angles and rhombuses do not. So all squares are rhombuses. That's true. A rhombus is a square that is just leaning over to one side. Remember, it's tired. So the last one is true. All right. Number 9, Jess says that a square cannot be a rectangle, which we already know isn't true. A square can be a rectangle. Jess says that a square cannot be a rectangle because a rectangle has 2 long sides and 2 short sides. Is he correct? No. Okay. Number 9 is no. No, he's not correct. No, because big elephants can always understand small elephants, because a rectangle just needs all pairs or sets, that's a synonym, to be the same length, like the opposite sides. So again, this side is that length, then this side is that length. They're the same. Again, pretend that my drawing is perfect. And then this side has to be the same length as this side. This side has to be the same length as this side, and this side has to be the same length as this side. So a square, this length is also this length, and this length, and this length. So that is the difference, and I hope you can see that. So sometimes a rectangle can be a square because its sides just have to be, the opposite sides have to be the same length. Oh, so I don't know if you can see that. I wrote no, because a rectangle just needs both pairs or sets to be the same length. This one and this one are the same length. This one and this one is the same length. Same length, same length. A square, same length, same length, same length, same length. That makes sense? All right, that is the end of lesson 31. Now we're going to move on to our next session, which is lesson 32, session 1. Bye, guys. Good job.